Change of reality is what I call my own perception of reality. Reality, in fact, is this scene, this scenery we all share, is everything we know and everything we don't know, both through our physical senses and also that we perceive through non-physical senses. That's reality. The best example, or the most graphic example I can use, is a theater play. This is what I want to communicate. It's been said that this reality is a dream, that is a distortion of another higher reality, that it's a projection of a higher mind. Um, any of these fits in what I call the theater play, because this reality is a theater play and we are characters in the play without knowing. When I say that I can explain reality or that I explain it above itself, it's because I'm inviting people that are hearing me or listening to this to get out of the play. Sit as a spectator and watch the play, far from the belief system that created it. The belief system is the language in which we communicate, the language that created us here. We can say that since this is not as real as it seems, this is a theater play, then we have to believe the character we are. We have to get into the character. The problem or the error is that the character believes that he is real or she is real and not that it's just a character. So the play has developed with time. From the beginning of times, from time zero, we started believing. And that's the only way that this play has developed. Men, humans, question what this reality is, and the answers describe reality itself. And that's what created what we know as history, as life, as reality itself. That's how it's been developed. The concept of evolution or purpose is something we believe we need as a collective to give sense or meaning to our lives. We have that interest in improving. We keep looking back at what we've done wrong so we can improve it. It's a concept. As such, it doesn't exist. It just helps us to understand this theater play. Because, as I say, this is a theater play with its own title, has a reason why it is here. What happens to us is when we get scared when we understand there is no reason for this play. Because if there is not a reason, we don't know what we're doing here. I have to talk about the soul, the subconscious mind. The soul is really a mini consciousness, we can call it that, a subconscious mind, that it's like the offspring of a superior consciousness. And in that soul or mini consciousness, everything is held, everything is registered. Patterns of the memory, past, present, and future of the history of the universe, civilization, universe, it's the same. Everything we discover fits within this mini consciousness. There's nothing outside of it. Everything we discover can be inside, has to be inside. So every human purpose, when a person says, I feel a call, a calling, I have abilities to do something, it's all a programming. It's you are plugged in to that subconscious mind. That person needs to believe in that character, needs to give life to that character, and then has to fulfill that purpose. So that character has a meaning, has a sense. What happens with most people that we don't feel that calling, Maybe we feel passive. We may like many different things, or we don't like anything in particular. Sometimes we find nothing has any meaning. What am I doing here? What can I do for humankind? What's the meaning of all these? These are the big questions that we ask as characters when we don't have a purpose. So the purpose of each character of the play, it's me, you, all of us, we're the characters. Our purpose is to help this mini consciousness to become one with the big consciousness, the superior consciousness. Therefore, when you don't feel that calling, that vocation, that reason for being here, you can be then ready to understand what change of reality is telling you. Consciousness is a superior mind. It's part of a force that assists us, that has created this history. I'm gonna give you an example. Imagine everything that is created, everything possible fits in one little point. I keep saying this again and again in Change of Reality. Everything is as small as we can imagine. It's an essence, all contained in one tiny spot or point, and all possibilities in the world are there. And many consciousness come out from there, out of there, because they're aware that they can do something else. So that consciousness that wants to imagine a physical universe is the consciousness that has created this universe, this physical universe, with its laws and stories, and here we are. So that consciousness had the original intention. There were other consciousness that had maybe other desires, other wishes, other imaginations that had nothing to do with us. So the problem is that we humans are so arrogant that we think we are the center of the universe. We think we are so important. The first thing I do in Change of Reality, in my talks and my online seminars, is that to say that we have to end the importance. Stop thinking we are as important as characters, and stop thinking we have a purpose, any purpose in the world. Because if we believe that, we're giving energy to that character. We're helping the play to continue, to go on. It doesn't matter whether it goes towards good or evil, because the opposites only exist on scene, on the play. Good and evil don't really exist. Good purposes go maybe to the good side of the play. And that's what we think we want to develop. And I'm inviting you to get rid of that importance. We are the center of nothing. We are just the projection of that mini consciousness that has in itself all the possible, all the physical possibilities, lived or that have not happened yet. They may have existed, they may not exist. And there is the subconscious mind, the soul. So going back to this original consciousness that imagined everything, I could say that consciousness could have imagined anything else, and it doesn't know what is happening here. So when we start describing reality, and we are now at a moment in which there is a high point in describing reality because of all the technology we have available, what we're doing is to develop the play. Our present reality reader is science. Science describes reality for us with its empirical knowledge. And whenever the collective believes it, it's real. So this mini consciousness is looking at itself constantly and projecting its own shadow, looking for it and projecting it. It's always a circle. Science is not the way out. Because going back to what I was saying before, that little point that consciousness came out of is it has force, it has strength, it's the force that we have to go back to. in order to understand that this is a play, that there is no opposites, that there is one thing only. So science, what it does is the more it describes, the more it discovers things, the more this force gives it space to develop, because everything is possible. They can discover 11, 12, a million dimensions. It doesn't matter. Everything is within the theater play. We can take drugs. We can do astral travels, travel in time, anything, anything. Everything is within this mini consciousness. The mini consciousness gathers it all and it's there. So that is not the way. It's not the path out of here. It's neither good or bad. But all we're doing is to develop a new religion. We think we are coming out of this play, but we are only creating another stage, another act within the play, although we think we are stepping out of the play. We think we are becoming one with this superior consciousness, the consciousness we all come from. We think we are reaching that. And if we're in this new act, yes, we think we are right because it's another projection. It's as if I wear a red coat and I look at myself in the mirror, I don't expect to see myself wearing a green coat. I expect to see myself wearing a red coat. I consider science as our current reality reader. We interpret reality through science because it's the highest authority we have nowadays to describe the play. It's as if the science sets the scene for us as characters to go and react there on that scene, on that scenery. In the old days, religion was probably the way we interpreted reality. But nowadays, religion is not what we use 100% of times. When I talk about science, I'm not talking about only about the official science, academic science only. Of course, it's included there. Medicine, physics, chemistry, biology, archaeology, etc. I'm also referring to anything that we consider an authority. For instance, if we have a plant at home and I say this plant has properties, special properties, if I sell it or I give it away and it does have those properties, that is science. It's a form of science, even if it's not tested. And happens a lot nowadays with all these alternative food we have nowadays. When I talk about an alternative system, and I say that it's the same as the other system, the traditional system, it would take a long time if I wanted to explain that more in detail. That's why I do the seminars of change of reality. Here, I don't have enough time to explain it in depth as I would like to. The systems in which we live, political, economic, social, considering what I had just said, they are a projection of us. When I was talking about my consciousness, my mini consciousness, I don't refer it's only mine. I'm talking about a collective consciousness. Each character doesn't have an individual consciousness. That's the mistake, to think that each character has his or her own consciousness. Bad news is that we all make up one consciousness that I call mini consciousness or soul or subconscious. So science, the same as alternative systems, when we see something is not working, it's because we're always describing reality. We don't realize that we are within a theater play. We don't stop and think, I have to stand still for the play to end or for the play to give me the best possibility available. Instead of that, I start looking for answers within good and evil, always. Because behind good and evil, there is nothing. So, since I ask, I get answers, always. So, the food we eat now, is it bad? The food we have now in the Western world, we it depends on each country, but we have described that. I don't want to go into that because it's a complicated world. You all know what I'm trying to say here, what I'm talking about. So we have created another way of nutrition, what we consider an alternative form of nutrition, because that implies that the way we've been eating, what we've been eating until now is bad. We think that this is bad, they're intoxicating us, we're dying because of that, we're creating illnesses because of the food we eat. Then we create another alternative, healthier food. So we create an alternative, a parallel. Maybe that will be the one in the future, the one, but it doesn't matter. We have changed one deck of cards for another, but I have not understood the game. I'm still doing the same. That's the history of humankind. We don't understand the game because if we understood it, we wouldn't be here. The play would not have developed. So everything, this alternative system that we have created, is the same. Tomorrow it will be the system that is the accepted, and of course there will be the illnesses we have now will not exist tomorrow, but new illnesses will appear, and we will think it's because of the food or it's because of the concepts we have. I like to say that food doesn't kill you, the environment doesn't kill you. The only thing that kills you is your head. Well, first of all, the play is going to kill you because we came here to play, to die. As long as when we understand this, we will not flirt with death anymore. We will not be creating illnesses anymore because an illness is a flirt with death. Well, illness is nothing but a script of the play. And I say this again, it's a script of the play. It's neither good or bad. It's a script of the play. This is the first step for us to open up that mini collective consciousness and letting that energy that is contained there is an energy of fear. We have to let it out and move towards understanding that things are neither good or bad. When we understand this and we move towards the center, we make everything one, we will not be here. We will disappear, we will be gone. Of course, this is almost impossible. But what is possible is that we center, focus on the center, move back towards the center and understand that good is neither good or bad. It's just a script that I have at hand to express what I feel like expressing. I can even express if I want to die. Maybe I project, I generate an illness because that's the easiest script I have in 2015. That's when I'm recording this. So the more we look for causes, the more seminars and books and things we do to try to understand why we are ill, the more illnesses we will have. Of course, I cannot talk at a conference in which they are discussing natural medicine. If when they talk about illnesses have emotional causes, well, there is nothing that is not emotional. Everything is emotional. Let's not look for cause and effect. Because in Change of Reality, I'm inviting you to stop doing that and understand that everything is the same. That all we do here is put on a disguise, put on the clothes of the character to come out to the play and act. But there is not anything good or bad. It doesn't matter if we say that illnesses are caused by some trauma or in my past or there is a genetic reason. Those are the answers we look for. And since we look for them and we get them, reality makes it happen. So be very careful because this seems almost unstoppable at this point. So let's not ask any questions. Let's not project illnesses. There will be less illnesses if we realize that this is a script. This is the reality of what the system is like. The way out is not to continue to do research, to give more money to research, because we humans think we are the center of the universe. We think we're the children of God, and we've come here to find out and that the reason for everything, and that we are now immature children, and in the future will be great. There's no goal here. All we have to do is to stop and think, and then later we will not need to think. Above everything, we need to be coherent, because coherence, when we understand what that is, when we understand that thought is always dual, when we believe in something, we are creating its opposite. When we say what's going on here, coherence is to put these two opposing beliefs in one. I said before that beliefs are the language we use in the theater play. We we do not evolve with beliefs. We just jump from one to another. For instance, someone that is now into new religion, that meditates daily, that does whatever he or she considers the right thing now, conscious nutrition, that person may think that his or her ancestors that were religious and had different rituals could think that those were beliefs, old-fashioned beliefs. But that person doesn't understand that what he or she is doing is just the same. A new belief, but it's also a belief, that just a belief that is that fits this historical moment in which we are right now. So there are no methods, no rituals, no laws that can get you out of the theater play. What I call the room. It's a room with four walls. Nothing can get you out of that room except that you understand that there is one thing only. There is no opposing things. Meditation is neither good or bad. Food is neither good or bad. This new nutrition. It's another thing, the same thing within the belief system. I'm surprised that some people that change their diet and they think that this new food is going to open up their consciousness. From the perception of change of reality, when you do an act, when you take a step to expand your consciousness, you're doing it from the non-consciousness point. Because if you were more aware, you wouldn't take that step. I know this sounds strong and harsh, but it's so. If you had a percentage of the above consciousness, the big consciousness, you realize that everything step you take is within this small mini consciousness, collective mini consciousness, whatever you want to call it. You cannot act to acquire consciousness. There's no food that is going to give you consciousness. Maybe something appears to help you achieve consciousness. And then the scenery would appear around you that fits what you think. Everything that they're talking about now, that they are poisoning us, that they're other beings, that all that is within the play. It's true, it's real, because it's real as I am talking here, but that's not the way out. It's just another story within the story, but it's the same. Let's suppose that we are dreaming. This is one of the best examples I can think of. If we're dreaming, obviously, that's the way it is. So I analyze my dream. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I'm enjoying it, I'm not enjoying it, I'm within it. What are we human beings doing? With this act, we are creating a new religion. We say, well, this is a dream. You know, people, this is very popular. So let's step out of this dream. Some people say, I'm awake now. No, if you were awake, you wouldn't be here. The awakening of consciousness is another concept. It would be the title or the definition of the new religion. If I'm dreaming, I'm dreaming. I can have, I can be more aware within a dream than another person. Some characters, it's true, that are acquiring more consciousness. They are unplugging, disconnecting themselves from the subconscious mind. But no one can do it completely because you wouldn't be here. Who is awake is awake. And it's not within the dream, so it's not here. When we wake up after a dream in real life, we don't go back to the dream. We are awake so we can remember it. Maybe we want to explain the dream, and what happens sometimes is that the dream made sense to us, but when we try to explain it, we cannot do it. That's what awakening is. When we are awake, we will know. But in the meantime, here, now, no one is awake. In fact, those people that consider themselves awake are creating a dream within another dream. Sometimes the person that never questions anything and appears the most ignorant person and doesn't think about these things might have more chances to wake up than the rest of us that are just repeating patterns, because this is just a repetition of patterns. Yes, we do create our own reality, uh, but not individually. We create it at a collective level. Everything is in the subconscious mind or in the mini collective consciousness, which is always looking at itself in a mirror. And it looks at itself, it reacts, looks again, and reacts again. So the human being is creating reality collectively. Having said this, it may be possible to perceive reality or start to perceive reality outside of this mini collective consciousness. And in order to do that, you don't need to read or go up to the top of a mountain or meditate. What we need is, I'd say, to breathe consciously and try to be coherent. Try to think that we have to eliminate these opposing beliefs we have and go to the original concept. That's what I invite people to do in Change of Reality, to go beyond the concept of good and evil. If you keep seeing that, you are just creating more ways of staying within the same circle, going around, instead of going vertically and perceiving. This is hard for some people. Some people say, I understand that we always say this is good or this is bad, but they understand that that is fine in some aspects of life, but not others. You have to include all aspects of life. Otherwise, this doesn't work. This new perception above good and evil is what will allow you to perceive reality, as I say, from the top of the building. At the street level, there is smoke, and the people there are always depending on those on the first and second floor of the building telling them what the smoke is all about. Is it a factory? Is it an accident? And that's where 99.99% of the population are, depending on the information, and they just react like a baby. It hurts, I cry. I'm hungry, I cry. When you climb up in the building, you realize that the smoke doesn't even exist. Or if it exists, as I said in a video, it could be the shooting of a movie. So it's obvious that you see the smoke, you still see the smoke, but at least you perceive that that is just a movie. So you know that the smoke is not going to hurt you, and you stop being always trying to find information from others. You perceive, you are coherent reality from a different point of view. Let's say that everything that is developing now, that the collective consciousness or collective mind focuses on, exists. It's all a projection from ourselves. If I look at myself in the mirror, I'll see what I expect to see, depending on what I'm wearing, for instance. So now people talk about conspiracy theories and beings that are among us. That's fine for those people who want to believe that, and that gives meaning to reality according to them. But it's just another act within the play. You're still in the room. That is not the way to get out of these. It's not the goal. The more we talk, the more we describe, the more space we give for realizing things. So civilization, the universe, galaxies, everything we can name is ours. It's there to serve us. It's not a matter of saying this is true, this is false. Whoever defends or attacks that, it's the same. It's not a matter of saying it's true or it's false. It's a matter of being above it and understanding that that is still the play. It's the theater play, and there is no one that is poisoning us. There's nothing going on. The only thing that happens is what we as a collective mind want to happen. Everything is our projection. It's not that it's not real, it is that we make it real. For example, let's say that science has already recognized that time as we understand it doesn't exist. That's fine. Time is a concept within the play. If I imagine a physical universe, I imagine it, or a consciousness imagines it within time and space. It doesn't matter how it is. I'll never know. When I eliminate this whole story and I want to have a higher level of consciousness, I won't even ask that question. Now, going back to what I was talking about before, time and space are concepts we need within the play. Everything is collapsed within a play. What is the play? This point in which there is one extreme, good, and the other one is evil. Whoever wants to understand has to pick up that point and pick up the thread and get to the core of it. So science has already said officially that time doesn't exist. However, nothing changes for us. We continue to act as if nothing had happened. Should give us a clue. Time is part of the subconscious collective mind. Past, present, and future are all developing at the same time. Different lives, different possibilities, everything is happening at once. What happens is that we're only conscious or aware of what we focus on at this specific moment. We don't see other times or other universes. Answering the question some people asked. Now it's fashionable to talk about time warps and time jumps. Some people say, well, ancient civilizations already talked about it. But you recognize time doesn't exist. So it's funny. How do you say other ancient civilizations said it? When you understand this, you are speechless. The more you talk, the more you keep developing the play. The shock is to understand, and then you don't say anything. There's only silence because you're really aware of the contradictions. That you talk about time warps, and then you say that we create our own reality. We say there's no time. So who created these time warps? The Mayans said that in the past. No, nothing is real. Everything is happening now. What happens is that we only realize what's going on when we focus on a now for us. Now, we want to believe in time warps. If we want to believe in that, we'll get the clues that will take us that will support that new belief. So it's going to be real. So we will get new inventions and new things that will support our beliefs. We'll have new experience, but they continue to be earthly experiences, even though we think that we are evolving.
that we are in a different dimension. Well, all dimensions are rooms within the same big room. Everything is within here. I'm talking here to the finder, to the person that has decided to stop. Whoever wants to continue to search will not like this. They don't care for this. This doesn't sound right to them. So they should just stop this and not listen anymore. If you continue thinking of what is good, what is bad, if you want to find, you will not understand. Not yet. This is for a person that has found already, that is tired of conflicts. And this person is ready to understand the vertical line, the only thought. There is only one line of thought. And we have to hold on to that line of force. There's nothing to do. We will continue on this play doing what we're doing, but being connected, trying to understand the play from the attic of the building. Because everything that is happening are concepts. Everything is a concept. It's neither true or false because it's the same. Points of view are just beliefs within the play. They're different scripts within the play. So as you acquire consciousness, you realize that different points of view don't contribute anything to the understanding. You're just putting together different things that are just concept, but nothing is happening. What you have to do is to continue to live in an unassuming way. You shouldn't try to teach anything to anybody. Living in silence. Here in Change of Reality, it may seem that I'm trying to teach lessons. It's not that. It's this is my way to express. This is the ego I have here now that helps me express this information to whoever wants to understand. This is the way I find to express myself. But I'm not trying to teach any lesson. Everything that I'm saying here has already been said before. People keep asking me, and I tell them, everything has been said before. There's nothing new in what I say. The answers are already there. It's not a matter of talking about the same. Happiness is another concept within the theater play, and we consider it a goal to accomplish. We have always been slaves to this concept throughout history because we want to attain happiness, and that also means obtaining material things. Nowadays, we think that if we are financially independent, we will be happy. But happiness is just another concept that is being sold as a goal because the human being within the play doesn't understand that the play is 1 second, another, and there is no goal to accomplish, except when you are completely identified with your character. Then, of course, you have a script to follow because you're identified with it. Happiness is a momentary state because, as I understand happiness, it is a connection with the no time, with that force outside of the room, outside of all our story as a character. So happiness can never be permanent because if it were, we would not be in the room. I'll say it again. Happiness cannot be a permanent state. Otherwise, we would not be in the room. We cannot be in the no time while we are connected with this character within the play. When we understand that this is a play, then we leave. We get out of here. So happiness is a momentary or temporary state. What happens is that we human beings project everything. Everything is a projection of a collective mind. We project outside the image we have of happiness. So we see these people smiling as if they were having an orgasm all the time. And I don't know what they're feeling, but that is a projection. Everything is a projective a collective projection, what we consider an ideal state. Since I am a character, an average character in the play, and I suffer, I'm not happy 24 hours a day, then I am at the level of the consumer. I'm at the street level, always waiting for someone to come from the outside to tell me what do I have to do to accomplish that. Someone to tell me what am I guilty of, what is my karma, what do I have to overcome in order to be so blissfully happy. But it's all a projection. But do you want that to be your reality? Then you can keep going down that path. And many people are supposedly happy because they have created that happiness, trying to reach nirvana. So, as you acquire consciousness, you realize that that permanent happiness does not exist. Well, having ups and downs in life is not a curse, it's life itself. The play itself is based on the concept of good and evil. So, if we believe in good, we have to believe in bad or evil. It's a conflict, and our inner human conflicts are what support the play. So the absence of conflict means the union with the force. It implies the disappearance, not physical death. Physical death is a script of the play. I'm talking about something else. This is something else. I'm talking about the union, about merging with consciousness, the consciousness that created the physical reality, the physical universe. We are just a little fragment of that consciousness. When we join the force, the above, as consciousness, we transcend these. These are just words. Here we are, just characters of the play. So we can go back home being being fragments, and then we become whole. I don't like to use these words much because these are already stereotypes, they're cliches everybody uses, but I have to express myself somehow. Although in my seminars of change of reality, I've created my own glossary in order to synthesize my ideas and make them as simple as possible, but still I have to use words. So living with conflicts is the only way to live because we are in the play. The day we don't have conflicts, we will not be here. Synchronicity is another concept that is being developed now. It's common to hear about that nowadays. It's part of the new religion, what I call a new religion. So we go back to the same. We are intelligent beings and we have to stop and think. We say fate doesn't exist and everything that happens at the same time is a synchronicity. We think that we have some power when that happens. We think it's fascinating. Some people say we create reality, but if that is so, it's something. It's a conflict I had. I had to overcome it by myself. I didn't say anything for 2 years. I was just there trying to figure it out on my own. And now I can speak up. If on one hand there are synchronicities, and if two events happen at the same time and we think they are related, then if I know that these two events that happen at once are signals, because that's what synchronicity means, that there's a signal for me there, there's a sign for me in that synchronicity. Uh, if I believe that, I think that's an answer. But what if I don't notice it? If I don't realize it? Is that fate? When people say fate doesn't exist and everything is perfect, I don't think that is so. Nothing is perfectly done here. Nothing here has an intention or happens because of something else. all there is here, all we have here are packages of energy information that are connected with the collective mind. So when you are on an energy line within certain parameters, the things that are going to happen to you fit within those parameters because you are connected with a subconscious mind. It's as if you are on a play and you walk on an act of the play. What is going to happen to you, whatever is going on in that act, you will come across the actors of that act and you will be involved in the events taking place in that act. So it's subtle. It's more subtle than we imagine. And this has a lot to do, it's true when people say it never rains, but it pours. That's kind of what it is. If something bad happens in your life, if you dwell on it and you suffer and you ask the universe questions, why did this happen to me? Many people do that in the new religion. You ask why, you want to find the reason. You then continue to be on the line of bad. Why don't we question the universe when things are going well for us? When we're enjoying life, we don't focus on that. We don't ask, what do I need to learn from this? Because we believe in learning and believe that the universe gives us signs. And we believe the universe gives us signals as answers. I see that as a learning situation. That means I will stay in that wheel in which I need to learn. And bad things will continue to happen so that I learn. So those packages are in the subconscious mind because the primary consciousness doesn't imagine any of that. There is no energy up there. There is no consciousness. It's just force in one direction. Good and evil are the titles of this play in which we are. We could say a lot about it, or we could just say nothing. But we know what is connected to good, and that is the danger because we all more or less agree on what is connected to evil or bad because we all know we don't like to be killed or we don't have to kill or harm others. But good, there's so much about good that we don't agree on that. We keep creating more of that, more of the same. Um, Now also it's a time in which we're leaving religions behind, religions that we consider oppressive, and science and religion are not so separated now and somehow because science is becoming more spiritual. And there is a new religion coming up in which they want to talk about good. And you know that sometimes the person that has the purpose of doing good, according to these new religions, I'll try to be neutral here, but some of these people, they don't realize that they are creating a need because they need to do that, which is fine. If I need something, I do it. If I need to talk, and I'm going to talk. If I need people to listen to me, I'll go out there and have people listening to me. But sometimes these people don't realize that they're creating a need in others. And there is something that can be somewhat disagreeable in all these new therapies of the new religion. For example, in the old days, when someone had an illness, maybe you said, "Oh, God has punished me," or "God is punishing me," but definitely you thought that you were bad luck, you had bad luck, and you didn't like it. Nowadays, of course, we think this is really bad luck. Why do I have to have an illness? But now, not only we feel ill and unlucky, but then on top of that, someone else comes to tell you that you have to see why you are guilty of that illness because you have caused it. You are responsible somehow at some level for that illness.
as if you didn't have enough. And that person is only at the same level as you, at the same energy level as you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come across that person. And this keeps growing and growing. And not only the illness gets worse, but the emotion that you have about that illness, the emotion of frustration grows because you feel guilty, you're hurting yourself. And that responsibility that you've taken up it's not good for you. It doesn't help you. And this is what new religion is doing to many people, because there are people that don't understand this. They want to help, but they don't. They do the opposite. Uh, but you have to realize that one doesn't exist without another. If you're ill and you find someone that tells you that, is because you're at that energy level. So everything is tools. We have to use the tools we have in this life, medicine, anything. But what creates the problem also creates the solution for that problem. The collective mind creates it all. Maybe not at the same time, but the collective mind or the general mind will create the problem and the solution. But these people come and tell you that maybe this happened to you because you needed to suffer it to learn something. And these are just stereotypes, these are topics. And you have to realize that you have to be very careful with this, because some people need to expand or spread these and express themselves, but you have to know when to stop and say, okay, this is a path. Maybe is this the right path for me? Maybe I'll stay still for a moment, look around, see the set where I am. Let's not go like sheep following someone and believing everything they say without thinking. We are intelligent beings. We have to understand. Then we have to integrate and realize there's no method, there's no ritual. If someone tells you there is a method or ritual, they're not telling you the truth. You will never get it. Okay? So we will do ourselves a big favor if we don't do that, if we don't follow that.